This story takes place a long time ago, in 1967. 67, when I was a newly graduated 10th grader in a new school. Well, not a new school, one of those big old high schools, but new to me. I had gone to Catholic school, and so I was still trying to keep myself in my seat when the teacher called on me. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. Thank you, ma'am. I'd sit down and the people around me would giggle. I was a Catholic school girl in a big school, old, but new to me. And so in my homeroom, which was on the very first row, very first floor, if I stepped out of my homeroom, the girls' bathroom was to the east. And all I had to do was come out of the room, turn right, take 10 steps, and I was in the girls' bathroom. But when I was in personal typing, I was also in the same area of the school, one floor higher, stepped out of my personal typing room and right to the right to the bathroom. And so there I was, hoping I could go to the bathroom in the 10th grade, the beginning of the 10th grade in this old school. I raised my hand the way I was taught to raise my hand in Catholic school. I kept my hand straight and tall, and only when the teacher passed near me did I slightly wave it to the left or to the right, just enough to catch her attention. She looked at me and she looked at what a poor job I was doing on the typewriter, and she said, "Be quick." So out I went, bolting for the bathroom. Now, I thought it awfully strange when I walked into the bathroom that, why, lo and behold, the first stall didn't have a door, and neither did the second stall, and neither did the third stall. And I thought, how awkward. I'm going to go all the way to the end of this long line of stalls because I don't want anyone walking by. And then I got to the fourth stall, no door, the fifth stall, no door, the sixth stall, and lo and behold, my eye caught a flurry of activity. And so I inadvertently turned to see what it was, and there the person sat on the throne with their jeans down around their ankles. Now, I looked at that person and they looked at me, and it was with sheer horror that I realized that the person sitting on that throne was a boy, not a girl, a boy. And he was looking at me and I was looking at him, and I backed away awkwardly. I almost ran to the end of the long line of stalls because I really had to pee. But I thought, no, I got to get out of here. Am I in the wrong bathroom? And just as I almost left the room, the space that I was in, that's when I recognized all of the flatulent sounds and the splattering of what people do when they're in the bathroom. On the way out, I realized that not only had I seen a boy with his pants down around his ankles, but I actually recognized him. He was in my biology class, and I was yet to have to go to biology class and pass him by. The entire time I was in personal typing going D, 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 D. I was wondering how I was going to overcome this awkward experience. And then it dawned on me, I could get to that class before anybody else did, and I could be seated in my side of the room before he sat down on his side. And that's what I did. I ignored my friends, I ignored all the cute boys in the hallway, and I raced like heck to get to the biology classroom. I went in, I opened up my notes, and I was deep in my biology notes and the book, Arthur the Aardvark. When I realized he had entered the room and sat down. Now, all would have gone well, except I told you I went to Catholic school, and so it was customary to follow the teacher wherever they went. in Catholic school. And it was at that moment that my eyes were following hers, that my eyes and his eyes met. I was so embarrassed. I felt so awkward. I was embarrassed, humiliated. And then he must have recognized the fear and the horror in me, because ever so carefully, he lifted his finger to his lips and he went, shh. And I realized he was giving me permission to forget everything that had just happened. Now, we ended up becoming very good friends. We never talked about bathrooms and the fact that they were oppositely placed on other sides of the building. But every once in a while, one of us would go, thank you.